the next thing, we could get into like some fighting game tidbits, right? So the first thing I wanted to like talk about was there was CEO Taku, and CEO Taku is like the anime fighter version of the big like CEO fighting game tournaments hosted by Alex the Man Jabali, right? And it was a lot of fun. I catched up on a few different like tournaments there. I saw like DNF Top 8. I saw like what else did I see? I think I saw like Melty Blood Top 8. So it was a pretty fun time. I was like expecting like trailers because there was like a tweet by Alex Jabali that it was something tweet, and it was like hashtag Guilty Gear and hashtag DNF Duel, right? And a lot of DNF Duel fans, including myself, were like, oh, is this gonna be like a new character? Is this gonna be like a season pass? Are we finally gonna get like actual fucking updates to the game? No. At the end of CEO Otaku, it was one of the producers, production director, Ryosuke Kodani. He had a short video, and he said that there will be a huge update on DNF Duel around December, and it's going to be mainly buffing out characters. DNF Duel, this is like the discussion video, this is the discussion news / video I want to like talk about with y'all, chat, is that, you know, DNF Duel just like is kind of dead. But I feel like, you know, DNF Duel had like its big pop-off month. Like everybody was on board with Dungeon Fighter Duel. I was into it. I certainly like labbed like characters like Ghostblade and all that shit. But I played like 2 days of like online, and I upload like videos on my channel, and you know, it's a fun video game, right? It's a fun fighting game for like, how many characters are there? Like 20 characters in the main roster of DNF. No, not 20, sorry. 16 characters in DNF Duel, right? Which is kind of like relatively small if you think about like the Dungeon Fighter Online like landscape of characters. Like there's so many fucking different like classes, and each class has like a subclass of that class, you know? So they could pull from like a lot of different things from Dungeon Fighter Online. The Arc System works in IDing and Neople. But after like their pop-off month, which was like, when did this game come out? In July. Yeah, like it came out in July, and it was a few days after the release of Capcom Fighting Collection, right? And Capcom fans are gonna like get it, right? I saw like no issues with like Capcom Fighting Collection because it's just a good collection of old school Capcom fighting games. But with DNF Duel, it's like they're big. It's like many people have thought like they're big like anime fighter like after Guilty Gear, right? And for DNF Duel to just receive like the short end of the stick with like just small character adjustments, like the last update that we saw from DNF Duel was just nerfing the shit out of the little midget boy, Swiftmaster, the windy bitch. And that was it. And then there were like few nerfs to like characters like Striker and Hitman, and who else am I missing? Maybe like Vanguard? I forgot. But it was just those three specifically. It was just those three, and all of us assumed that like DNF Duel is not going to get any more updates, right? Because a lot of the clues and hints for DNF Duel's like slight downward hill comes from like the people that made DNF Duel, right? One, it's IDing, right? And IDing, as we pretty much know, are the developer team behind like Marvel vs. Capcom 3, Ultimate, Naruto, Clash of Ninja, and what's that other game? What else did they do? So they did like the Bloody Roar games, right? And you know, I kind of don't want to say that like DNF Duel is dead, like, because this game has like potential, but I look at the game myself and I'm like, man, when have I ever like played DNF Duel, or when have I had the motivation to play DNF Duel again, right? We have an update planned at the end of September to fix the bugs such as screen freezes during online matches and input issues in the Steam version. We're currently looking into other bugs and have future updates planned, right? The following update won't apparently come until December. We're planning an update for late December, tuning all the characters to make the game fun for everyone. Our direction is to add only buffs to all characters, right? So in a way, I'm very curious of like how DNF is going to go with these like buffs, just as like the game itself, right? Who's gonna get ridiculously buff, and we're gonna be like taking a look at to like what buffs will have on the roster, right? Am I gonna see like Ghostblade actually having like a Shoryuken uppercut move? Are we gonna actually see that? You know, sort of thing. Are we gonna see like my boy Hitman doing more TOD status, right? Like, cause like I want to see like a lot of us thought was going to be ending because of like a lot of like the player base just like died down, right? And before DNF, well, not before DNF Duel, well, after DNF Duel, there was multiverses, so you had like one fighting game that was really like intuitive and fun, right? You could do a lot of like combos and you do all of this shit. It's a very anime fighter to its core, but with like Marvel like isms. But you had multiverses and everybody was on the bandwagon for multiverses, right? With just, you know, characters just being Warner Brothers characters, and it played like a fun like Smash clone. It even debuted in Evo and had like a huge prize pool tournament, right? So that pretty much like cemented like anything going forward for like DNF Duel, right? But people still played. We saw it at CEO Otaku, but it's like one of those games that they had to like fill in, and it's an anime fighter. Even though like DNF Duel is in the Arc World Tour circuit, right? But the only problem is like, what is the future of DNF Duel, right? And to be honest, it's like, it's pretty freaking scary, right? Like this smells like, you know, the game is like done, like it's donezo. Like we don't want to play it anymore. The Steam charts for DNF Duel is like slowly like dwindling down, right? There's no like there's no updates to like a season pass still. There's no announcement of new characters still, right? The game is like technically like dead. And pretty much it just falls back on the developers and the staff of DNF Duel. Not Arc System Works, but more specifically with IDing and with Neople. That's the other company that is with DNF Duel, because DNF Duel is Korean, right? And the game is published and launched under Arc System Works. So there's like one possibility is like a language barrier, so they can't like get a lot of like stuff done for the most part. And the other is like IDing, right? Because IDing is well notorious for like pushing out like games with like fun combat, but no future updates later on. Like, because again, IDing is one of the companies that made Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 only got like one update, and that's with adding buffs, adding new moves to every characters, adding buffs and nerfs, and adding like the 12 Marvel and Capcom characters into the game, and there was no future updates whatsoever. Like, the game was dead. Like, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was dead, even though its spirit still like lived on, right? But at the time, everybody was like Marvel fatigue. You know, nobody liked seeing, you know, Phoenix or Wesker, Sentinel, all that shit. And it's just like that iding, like, that iding pattern in their fighting games. They're just like one and dones. They don't like do updates, even though we see it in DNF Duel, but they're very small and minuscule. Like, they're not like how we see updates in other fighting games like Guilty Gear, where they would have like a huge like list of all the different changes of characters because Arc System Works is listening. There's a lot of factors that play into this, right? And you know, DNF Duel is fun, right? DNF Duel is like one of my favorite fighting games to come out of this year, right? But there is no like I feel no future for DNF Duel, right? Because the way I look at future is that what are like updates to DNF Duel outside of balance patches? Because balance patches is, you know, one thing, but you want to get like hyped for DNF Duel by like adding more characters, adding a season pass, what sort of crazy new characters, because that's how like I feel fighting games are now, is that you want to have like new characters to play instead of like the same old. Of course, this could also be taken as another thing that DNF Duel makes you want to have, is that, okay, y'all really like DNF Duel, so okay, if you want your Dungeon Fighter Duel love, why don't you go play Dungeon Fighter Online? Yeah, it's a free-to-play game. Of course, there's all these like DLCs and shit that you have to like buy, but the game is definitely free to play. Like, you can get this game for free and experience the Dungeon Fighter universe for yourself. But no, DNF Duel came out with like a $50 like price gauge, and that's a lot to ask for like a fighting game with just like, you know, story mode, training, trials, arcade ladders, and of course online. Which, again, like, fighting games should be like free to play, like, honestly, right? At this juncture, you know, fighting games take a lot out of you. Well, not take a lot out of you, I'm sorry. You know, people are very short, right? And what I mean by that is that if you don't have like a game that like really entices like a player, like a single player campaign, or cool and interesting characters and like a cool setting, then gotta say, people will move on to the next game that they want to try. A lot of the general populace don't have like that fighting game mindset where they see like a cool fighting game and they want to try and like lab it out, right? DNF Duel is definitely like a labby type of like fighter because of the systems that they give you, but that's for fighting game fans. If we're talking about like the average Joe Schmo, like your neighbor next to you, would he be dedicated to play DNF Duel? Absolutely not. He'll only play for like a short while, but that's all you're really gonna get for DNF Duel. But it's sad to hear that like DNF Duel is not getting like any of the proper DLC that we all know that come from like fighting games, at least like in this day and age.